Hi everyone, and welcome to episode number 100 and let's start this again. Hi everyone, and welcome to episode number 104 of the Karen Knits podcast. My name is Karen, and I'm coming to you from South Central Pennsylvania, where I live, where I work, where I knit and crochet, and get into all kinds of other crafting shenanigans. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. It's a nice day out. It's only in the low 40s, it's maybe 43, 44 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's a little bit cloudy. There was actually a few snowflakes fell just a few minutes ago, but they're gone. We're supposed to be getting high winds and rain later today, but we shall see. I don't have to go anywhere the rest of today, so I don't care. So it is Saturday, March the 26th, 2022, and I have a few things to show you today. I have a finished object. Yay! I have some progress, a little bit of progress on one of my whips. Basically, I was very monogamous this week. The finished object, that's the only thing I worked on this week until earlier today when I went to one of my works in progress. I have a couple things that I bought when we were away this past week that I want to show you. One of them, I've just unsealed the box, but I haven't looked in at what's actually in there, so I'm going to let you take a look at that with me. That just cracks me up. And I'll talk a little bit about our little mini vacation that we took. I'm just drinking hot tea. I'll show you this cup in some more detail later, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it, but this is my new metal teacup, or it's hot or cold beverages. So far it's only seen hot beverages until they turn cold. So my finished object, I'm going to take this out in just a couple minutes. I want to show you and explain these a little bit in just a couple minutes. But these are see if I can pronounce it right this time. Ipomea. I think I got it right this time. Ipomea socks. This is a design by Anna Zhuravlyova. Sorry, I'm just looking over at my notes over here. Anna Zhuravlyova. So these are the socks for round 1 of Sock Madness, or Sock Madness 16, and they're done. So I just finished these last night, like 11:30 at night, or 20 after 11 at night, and got my pictures taken. Crappy late night, poorly lit pictures. Submitted my email and then impatiently waited until I got confirmation that they were okay. I didn't want to go to bed if they weren't okay. So I was really hoping that the moderators were not overburdened with a lot of socks coming in. Thankfully it wasn't. I think I had a response in 15 or 20 minutes. So I really didn't want to just submit the email and then go to bed and get up in the morning and find that maybe I had missed something or made a mistake. And I didn't want to lose however many hours when I was sleeping in case more people came up and got that spot. So on my team, I finished up in position number 34 out of 40 people that will advance on the team. So in round one, on each and every team, there's 26 teams. Each team has about between 45 and 50 people on the team. I think most of them are 47, 48, 49 individuals on each of the teams. So for round one, the fastest 40 people in each team will advance to round two. Round two, it'll be the fastest 32 people. So in round two, 8 more people on each team are going to be eliminated. So for the next round, I better pick up the pace, or if I come in position 34 again, it's not going to cut it. I won't make it. So these are done. They are really pretty. They have beads on them. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, I think so. There's a really pretty little leaf design here, or floral design, and there's a nice twisted rib all the way down the sock. It's a variation of a slip stitch heel flap, regular standard heel turn, plain stockingette in the bottom, and a basic wedge toe. Twisted rib cuff as well. So we have these little smocking details, wrap stitches or smocking along here with the beading, and then there was the little leafy pattern on both sides. And then once you were done that, it was basically just ribbing all the way down for a couple miles. So on one side, you were required to have a running stitch that you flip back and forth every 5th row. So that made it easy for the moderators that were checking in all the submissions to count and make sure that you had the correct number of stitches. This part, it's okay to see, you know, okay, you can see this part, you can see the little lacy design, but once you get to this part, it's very difficult to see that everyone has knit the correct number of rows. And again, as I've mentioned, I think in earlier podcasts, it is set that way so that we've created a level playing field. So everyone is knitting roughly the same size. So we had to include this running thread down there. Now, I have not, okay, maybe I can't say that these are 100% done. I still have the tails to tuck in. I will do that when I'm finished filming. But for now, what I want to do is take out the running thread and call that part done, so I can get some good pictures of it. Extra stitch marker. Done. One of them is out, so I'll tuck these guys back in. Oops. Down you go. Oh my goodness, that guy does not want to stay in there. Probably creating static. So there's the one, and the second so I just stuck a little, I did a slip knot with a stitch marker on it so that when I was doing the threads I wouldn't accidentally pull it out and basically unthread it from the top. So there they are. So they're done. So just a quick detail on this. There are, I didn't mark, it has beads on it. So I did the size large, which was, I believe, 70 stitches around. And the size I did included 48 beads total across the two. I used 2.25 millimeter needles. That's usually my standard go-to needle size. And I used some yarn that I dyed myself last year. Now, the funny thing with this is that the two ends of the yarn, this one where the yarn came from the outside of the cake, this one from, I believe, the inside of the cake, this part is a little bit lighter than this side, or this part of the cake. And I guess that's just part of the doing tonal yarn and hand dyed, like indie dyed, hand dyed, non-professional dyeing of yarn. So same skein of yarn, they do look a little bit different, and I'm fine with that. I am not a huge perfectionist. So, yeah. So, they're done. So, Sock Madness 16 round 1 socks are complete, and I'm able to go ahead and move on to round 2. So I'm excited for that. So the only other work I did, so this, I just wanted to talk just a little bit more about this. Typically each round in Sock Madness runs for 2 weeks. Although as we get farther through the competition and closer to the later rounds, the timing tends to shorten up a little bit, and we have a little less than 2 weeks, maybe down to 10 days. But for this round, everything is moving really quickly. The pattern dropped a week ago Friday morning at like a little after 7 in the morning. So this round officially closes Friday coming up at I think 7:06 in the morning. But it looks like this round potentially could finish early. I was looking at the spreadsheet that lists each team by each round and marks off who's moved forward and who has not. And again, we have 26 teams of roughly 48 people on each team. And so far, just over a week, so not even a full 9 days, no, 8 days in, not even a full 8 days, there are already 1,014 people who are done their round 1 socks, that have completed and successfully moved ahead or advancing into round 2. Across all 26 teams, there are, at the time I'm filming this, there are only 28 spots left to be filled across all 26 teams. So this round is moving really quickly. And there is a possibility that this round might end faster than 2 weeks. Hard to tell. The last 28 people might be really new knitters, and we might see things slow down over the next several days to the rest of the week. It could speed up again with people having time to knit on the weekend. So when I was looking at the statistics for my team last night, so when we were getting ready to think about supper, I was looking and there were 33 spots filled on my team, only seven spaces left available. So I was worried that I wouldn't make it through to round 2. And what I ended up doing was I knit like a maniac, knit like a fiend the rest of the later part of the afternoon and all evening. I knit like it was going out of style, and submitted my pattern at 20 after 11, 25 after 11 on Friday evening, and made it through, went to bed, got up because I was really worried that if I just go to bed at 10 o'clock and I would have had a little bit of time in the first thing in the morning to knit, but I had a thing at school, I had to be at work. There was a new student thing on campus this morning, so I met one of my colleagues at work at 9:30 this morning, and I didn't get home until almost noon. And I was, this sounds bad, I was terrified that if I didn't finish them last night, by the time I got home at noon, and then spent afternoon, several hours in the afternoon, finishing up my socks, I was very worried that the last 6 spots on my team, or at that point, the last 7 spots on my team would be gone. When I checked last, there's still 6 spots. There's been no one since me 20 or 12, 16 hours later. We haven't had another person cross the finish line on our team. So technically I would have been okay, but it wouldn't have been good for my nerves. so I stayed up late. I had to get up early this morning. I'm sleep deprived, but I made it. It's all part of the madness. So since I've been working on my Sock Madness pattern all week, I have not touched anything else craft-wise all week. When we went away for a few days this week, I took my socks, of course, and I also took my Akio cardigan with me as well, thinking if by chance I finish early, then I want some other craft to work on. It didn't come out of the bag until I got home from my my work stuff at lunchtime today. So let's put those there. So my Akio cardigan. So this is a pattern by Little Red Knits. I'm using Caron Simply Soft for this in the color Dark Country Blue. And this is a crochet cardigan pattern. And I've made a little bit of progress on this. And when I showed you it last time, I had the 2 panels done. And since I picked it up after lunch and after I got home from work today, I have stitched up the back. So you can see the seam down the back. They tell you to do a slip stitch join, and that gives you that fun little ridge. Then I finished that part. I sewed up that seam, or crocheted up that seam, and then for the side panels, you leave a split hem on the side seams. It had you just sew the seam up. Well, I like the look of that slip stitch, so I opted to do the same stitch down the side seams. So that's probably about one of the few, if any, probably the only modification I've made on this pattern. And when I was doing that part, so this is awkward to show because I'm still attached with actually both ends of the yarn. So what you do for the side seam is you start the stitching at the hem, or the split hem portion, go up the side seam, and then they tell you to break the yarn, and then you reattach another piece of yarn at the same spot. To me, that intuitively didn't make sense to do. So I just continued on and started the sleeve. So I've started the sleeve on this side. I've done 3 rounds on the sleeve. And on the second sleeve, I've done a single round. I've only just started the second sleeve. So all I have left to do on this now, it's really awkward to show off what it looks like. All that is left to do on that cardigan now is to finish the sleeves and stitch up the seam, or stitch up and tuck in all the loose tails. So there's 2, 3, 4. There'll probably be 10 tails that need to be tucked, maybe 10, maybe not even that many, that will need to be tucked in once the sleeves are complete. So that's not going to be an onerous task at all. And then this will be done. Now I am concerned about possibly running out of yarn. So I have just this one partial ball of yarn left. And so what I thought I would do, and I think I've mentioned this in previous episodes, I'm going to knit, crochet. I'll probably do 5 rows on one sleeve, then 5 on the other sleeve, then do another 5, then another 5, until I'm ready to, until I see how my yarn supply is lasting. If it looks like I'm going to run out of yarn, I will end the sleeves earlier and opt for a 3/4 length sleeve. I think I will have enough yarn to do full sleeves on this. When you sew it together, it's almost like a drop shoulder. It's not the shoulder of the body of the cardigan is not up high on the shoulder. It's kind of drops down a little bit. So I don't have that far to go down the sleeves. So I do think I will have enough yarn to finish the sleeves completely. And I do expect that cardigan, it'll probably be done before the weekend is. I suspect I'll have it finished this weekend. Potentially I'll have it finished today. As I've mentioned before, for me, crochet is so much faster to do than knitting is. It works up so much more quickly for me. And I did learn to crochet first, so it's still something that I find works up faster. So either which way, that pattern or that sweater should be finished before I see you next week, unless Sock Madness finishes really quickly and we get the new pattern in a day or two. Very unlikely that that's going to happen that way. So I really do think I will get my Akio cardigan finished before I see you next week. So that's pretty much all my knitting content or crafting content of things that I have worked on this past week. So as I mentioned, I was very monogamous the first almost all week until lunchtime today. And what else? Oh, I was going to tell you about our trip. So we went up to Hershey, Pennsylvania. That's in Hershey Chocolate, Pennsylvania. And we used to live quite close to Hershey. We were just a couple towns over from Hershey. So we used to go there on a fairly regular basis. And the accountant we have had doing our taxes for probably 8-10 years now, his office is up that way. So we make the trek, it's about an 1.5-hour drive. We make the trek from here up to close to Hershey to get our taxes done because this accountant is familiar with us and he's especially familiar with my husband's tax stuff. My taxes are relatively straightforward. My husband's considered self-employed, so his taxes are a little bit more complex with deductions and tax implications and all that kind of stuff. So we make the trek up there every spring just to see our tax man. That's how he signs his emails, either your tax guy or your tax man. So we had an appointment to see him on Wednesday morning. And the rest of the week we spent just doing some touristy things and just relaxing. So I didn't get as much knitting done as I had hoped to, because we'd go out for lunch, and then we'd go and do this or see that. So there was quite a bit of each day that we were not just vegging out at the hotel where I could knit as much as I wanted to knit. So that's partly why it took me a little bit longer than I had hoped to finish my Sock Madness design, or my Sock Madness socks, but it's all good. So one of the days we were there, we went to the Hershey Gardens, and the gardens themselves there was really nothing going on there this early in the year. The daffodils were in bloom, and that's about all there was to see there. But they have a butterfly enclosure. So we went to see that. We've been before, and it's so pretty in there. It's so nice to see all the butterflies. And one of the things I bought while we were there is a little souvenir cup. So it's a metal container. It has a lid for it, and it says that it'll keep hot liquids hot for up to 8 hours. I think that's only if you have the lid on, and I haven't kept the lid on it yet because I don't really like drinking out of those. I don't like those lids for drinking out of, those little plasticky lids. So I'd rather just leave it open and just drink it like I would drink out of a normal cup. So the tea I made about an hour ago is a little better than lukewarm right now. But the cup is so pretty. I just love it. I really like butterflies, and this cup is just really, really pretty. So that was one of my souvenirs that I treated myself to. And we also spent a bit of time wandering around. They have an outlet mall there. So we spent one afternoon, we just wandered around from store to store and looked at looked in some of the stores. And one of the stores we went past was a bookstore, and they had big signs all over it saying that they were going out of business and closing, and that all the books were on sale. So all the hardcovers were priced at $4, all the soft covers or paperbacks were priced at $2. So with the hubby and I we're suckers for books. We're both bookworms. We love reading. I'm an academic, and he's working as a pastor. He's always into books and reading and researching and things. So we read a lot for our jobs and for pleasure. So we go into this bookstore and we're just poking around, and I was just looking at some books, and the hubby comes up to me and he says, "Look what I found." He said, "Here, here, here." Knit your own dog. Oh, I could not believe it. It's a Doxy or Dachshund, Dachshund. I can never pronounce a wiener dog. I can never pronounce that breed. But my sidekick at work, these are the kind of dogs she has. Or she has, one of them sadly passed away about a little over a year ago. And so she has one now who looks like that. That one is the black and brown color. So hubby showed me this, and I said, "Oh my gosh, it's mine, and I am going to knit my sidekick at work a dog for Christmas. That's perfect. We do exchange as like a small Christmas present each year. We exchange with each other, and she's getting a knit dog for Christmas. I'm quite possibly completely nuts that I'm going to knit my friend a dog. It's incredibly unlikely that she watches my podcast. I don't even think she knows that I do this. But if she happens to see this, I just ask that she pretend she's surprised when she sees this. So I haven't opened it yet. I just undid the seal, and this was on sale too. I unsealed it, but I haven't opened it up to see what everything's in there. This is what else they have. This is the only one they had, but you can knit your own cat. And there's a couple other dog breeds. My mom wanted to know if I was going to knit her a beagle. But one is that you can knit a zoo. The other, I'm gonna have to research and find out. If they do have a beagle, I'm gonna have to look that up. And if they do have a beagle, I will knit my mother a beagle, because she's a beagle fan. So I've undone the box, or opened the box, but I haven't looked at everything that's in here. So it's supposed to have everything you need to knit a dog. So so the instructions. So it doesn't look too complex, or I doubt it's complicated. But they even have, at the beginning, they have instructions how to knit. So it's probably quite a basic pattern. So like making a slip stitch, casting on, doing the knit stitch, purl stitch. So half the book, they have little information on doing the embroidery. So literally half the book is instructions on how to knit. The measurements when it's done, he's going to be 7.5 inches long, and or 19 centimeters, and the height at the top of the head is 4.5 inches, or 11 centimeters. So there's another picture of the finished dog. I'm just way too entertained and amused by this, aren't I? So everything that's in the kit, there are a couple pipe cleaners that are supposed to be used in shaping and forming the legs. There is, oh, here comes an ambulance. Hang on. So there's a bag of fluff to stuff your dog. On the back it says high quality yarn, so I have no idea how their definition of what high quality yarn is. But there is, oh, that's not going to stay there. Hang on. There we go. So there's the black yarn for the body. It doesn't even say what, it feels like wool. It doesn't say anything about the content of what the yarn is. So there's black yarn, there's a small bit of brown, and then there's a little bit of red yarn too. It has a red collar on. So there's that. There is a tapestry needle and the knitting needles. Highly unlikely I will use their knitting needles. I'll just probably find a pair of circulars. Don't usually knit with straight needles, and I prefer metal. But I'll have to check and see what size those knitting needles are. Let me just check if the box tells me. With a few evenings of work, you'll have a covetable companion for life. 2 3/4 millimeters, so it's US size 2 knitting needles. Yeah, the pipe cleaners are for structure. I'm just way too amused by this, aren't I? Oh my gosh. So stay tuned because I will be showing you once I make this, once I knit my own dog or knit a dog for my friend. I have to tell her also that this dog is easy to care for and it's going to be inexpensive because it doesn't need veterinary care, it doesn't need food, any of that stuff. So it's going to be easy to take care of her new pup. Because the dog she has now, he's handicapped. He has had a couple surgeries on his back, so his back end and his back legs are paralyzed. So they have a little thingy that attaches around his waist. Is it a waist on a dog? Around his hips and his belly that he can scoot around with. But for the most part, he just kind of, he uses his front legs and he just kind of drags his back end around. He gets around fantastically. They have her house is all hardwood floors, so it's very easy for him to maneuver around, and he's pretty mobile for a dog that has no use of his back end. He's a really cute little dog. So this one will be easy to care for. She'll just have to dust him every once in a while. So I'm going to be making that for my sidekick for a Christmas gift. So I'm not sure when I will actually get him started. I'm going to work on finishing my cardigan and then get back to working on my flax light sweater once I'm done my crochet cardigan, and then hopefully I'll be ready for the next round of Sock Madness, and I'll knit a dog later. So I'm not quite ready to start knitting a dog right now. As cute as he is, it can wait a little bit. So it's just, when my husband showed me that, I'm just like, oh my goodness, yeah, mine. I'm just like, this is 100% coming home with me. And it was one of the things that was on sale, so even better. That was the bonus. So on that note, I don't think I have much of anything else that I was going to talk about. I don't think so. I'm going to be quite busy with things at work coming up. I'm on a search committee for bringing in a new faculty member, and we have, I think this week coming up, we have four Zoom interviews. So that'll tie up a good bit of time. Typically, I'm not able to knit very much with that because I'm usually taking notes about what the candidate is talking about and things like that, and just notes to remember exactly what my thoughts were on each of the people we talked to. I've got a boatload of grading that has to get done. I have to get caught up on that again. I'll probably be working on that some this afternoon once I've done editing this video, and while it is exporting and uploading, I'll get some grading done and get back on working on my cardigan. So I think that's about it. If you're new coming to visit me, I'm so happy to have you with me. If you are returning again after watching earlier videos, I'm so happy to have you back with me again. And other than that, I think that's it. Alrighty, thank you so much for watching, everyone. Take care, and I will see you guys again in a week. Bye.